Like, America would literally exchange Wyoming for Israel. America would allow Wyoming to be nuked off the planet with all of the Wyomingites in it in exchange for making sure that Israel was safe. Israeli pilots die in the process? Are you out of your dang mind? Now that the war has been going on for so long in Ukraine, the Ukrainian attacks on Russia seem to be making Russians less supportive of the war. But early in the war, it galvanized support for the Russian war effort. It depends on the level of attrition, in my opinion. Yeah, but again, it's been a long process for Russia. So, you know, it's a little different. America is still early. America's still early in the day in its efforts. Also, Russians are used to worse material conditions than Americans are. I think Americans are definitely Americans have far less appetite for stress. We're used to living very comfortable lives. I mean, think about it. COVID lockdowns led to Americans taking up arms against their local governments, you know, because they couldn't get a fucking haircut for like a week and a half. Yeah, Russian baseline tolerance for suffering is infinitely higher than Americans. So I don't know which way it would go. I have no idea. But you bet your fucking ass, any kind of attack on our critical infrastructure, we will have absolutely, like Trump will have absolutely been responsible for it ultimately. Because none of this shit had to happen. The gas prices, we did not have to experience another inflation crisis whatsoever. Trump literally went in and did that shit at the behest of Israel. And I will be saying the truth, no matter how much people get mad at me for it. Okay? Now, as far as the Hamas disarmament thing goes, Israel has also been in opposition to that, which is shocking, guys. It's shocking, I tell you. Oh my God, imagine my surprise. Imagine my surprise when I found out that Israel was not in favor of Hamas disarmament in exchange for leaving the Gaza Strip. What? What? You mean, what? You mean to tell me that Israel is not going to remove their troops from 50%, 57% of the Gaza Strip in exchange for Hamas disarmament? What? No way. No way. What's next? You're going to tell me Israel didn't give a fuck about the hostages and we're simply using them as a propaganda talking point in the Western world? Stop. What's next? You're going to tell me Israel was trying to deliberately kill the Israeli hostages? Stop it. Yeah, this is a fire take. YouTube creator iDubbbz reveals that Ethan Klein lied about dropping his lawsuit against him and has now received an upcoming court date. Ethan previously confirmed he would drop the lawsuit after receiving significant backlash online, an apology from iDubbbz. I'm retweeting that shit. Oh, a fake ceasefire. Where have I seen this before? Banger. Yeah. Israel activity, Israel behavior, 100%. The U.S. almost also here going back to the situation monitoring. There's a new WAPO. Oh God, I don't want to fucking. GIF link doesn't work. I need to log in. Send it to me with a paywall remover, please. Here's the thing. Okay. America doesn't have the munitions to continue waging this war, and the global markets don't have time to continue waging this war as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, as the Saudi oil refineries start getting peppered with Houthi strikes, worsening the crisis, worsening the energy crisis. Okay? Markets and munitions. Markets can't take any additional destabilization, and America doesn't have the munitions to continue. And a lot more people are openly saying it now. At least they're saying it to the media. Here's a Washington Post exclusive. U.S. General warns Pentagon he lacks sufficient forces to protect Israel. A shortage of Navy destroyers used to defend against the Iranian ballistic missile attacks will force the head of U.S. European Command to prioritize the U.S. homeland instead, officials said. The top U.S. general in Europe privately warned the Pentagon this week that he lacks sufficient naval forces to continue protecting Israel from incoming ballistic missiles. A couple months ago, we lacked sufficient munitions to protect our allies. Now, we're admitting that we lack the sufficient munitions to protect the homeland. Do you understand how fucking insane that is? Do you understand how fucking insane that is? There are varying degrees of allegiances that we have, Israel being at the top, right? Israel obviously is the most important asset, more important than actual states in the United States of America. Like, America would literally exchange Wyoming for Israel. America would allow Wyoming to be nuked off the planet with all of the Wyomingites in it in exchange for making sure that Israel was safe, making sure that Israel could continue expanding. I 100% believe that. Okay? So there's one element, but the entirety of the country, now we got problems. There's varying degrees of care here. There's varying degrees of importance. So, like, obviously the least important are the Arab states, Gulf states. They're nothing, even though they're worth so much more than Israel technically. In our calculation, they're worth nothing. And that much remains to be seen. We're basically treating Saudi Arabia and the UAE like they're Kurdish militias, okay? Literally bottom of the fucking barrel. Then you got the Asian security theater. You got the Asian Security Cooperative Agreements in the Pacific theater. They're up next. We took their anti-air defenses and we panic shipped them into the Gulf specifically to defend Israel. And then you got Europe. Obviously, Eastern Europe is nowhere near as important, even though they're a part of NATO, so they're a little bit more important than the Asian countries. And then you got Western Europe. And after Western Europe, you have the American nation, okay? Our United States of America. While the United States of America, or at least our government, America the entity, not the people, while the United States of America could maybe eat a little bit of damage on the homeland in exchange for, going along with Israel's ambitions here, when you arrive at our missile stockpile is not enough to not only not defend Asia, but Eastern Europe and Western Europe, but now the United States of America didn't even mention Africa. Dog, Africa is not a part of the equation from the American foreign policy calculation. What are you talking about? We're talking about countries that we have security cooperative agreements with. From the American calculation, Africa is a land for plunder and plunder only. That's it. Same with Latin America for the most part. You think America would ever defend any African country? What are you talking about? You think America would defend any Latin American country? What are you fucking talking about? It's not even a question. Africa and Latin America is just land for plunder, natural resources, and cheap, or at times throughout history, dark chapters of history, free labor. Okay? And I don't even think, yes, you're not wrong. I don't even think America would defend Western Europe if push came to shove. My point is, if you can't defend the American homeland, then you have nothing, right? These guys love talking about if we don't have borders, we don't have sovereignty. If we don't have borders, we're not a nation. Okay. If we can't even defend the homeland because we have literally expended all of our fucking munitions on Israel, what are we? Other than a cumsock for Israel, an Israeli ambition. What are we? Are we a country? Who's the senior partner in this coalition? Who's the superpower here? Is it Israel or is it America? What the fuck are we talking about? General Alexis Grinkowicz, the head of U.S. European Command, so obviously you know he's fake and gay and woke because he's, in Europe, sent written notification to senior Pentagon officials saying that without another Navy destroyer, he will be forced to choose to defend the United States homeland over that of Israel, said the officials, who, like some others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the correspondence. A U.S. defense official said Grinkowicz's notification appears consistent with past outreach to the Pentagon from the military's top generals when they see certain risks that require Washington's consideration. This can occur, the official said, as commanders compete for finite resources and weapons. The Pentagon declined to comment. U.S. European Command did not respond to requests for comment. A spokesperson for the Israeli embassy in Washington could not be reached for comment. The general's warning comes at a tenuous moment in the 5-month conflict as near daily attacks have resumed following the collapse of peace talks between Washington and Tehran, and the operation's intensity has drained U.S. supplies of key defensive weapons. The Navy has been particularly taxed as the Trump administration has directed a blockade of Iranian ports in response to Tehran's closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The standoff has stymied the movement of Middle Eastern oil and other commodities through the narrow waterway, upending the global economy. You know all this stuff already. And it's been very interesting because this is yet another moment where I have to do my I told you so dance. Okay? Piker Broadcasting Service, the People's Broadcasting Service, for tomorrow's news today. Okay? There it is. This is why you subscribe to the People's Broadcasting Service. This on the groundwork, changing American politics for the better, but this is part of the reason. There's another separate New York Times article that came out with pretty scathing comments about the Iran war, reported by Preston Stewart. If you've been following Operation Epic Fury from the start, and even before it started, here on this broadcast, none of this information is new for you. You've heard it. You've heard it from me over and over again, to much criticism at the time, right? Whenever I repeated this stuff, everyone was like, get the fuck out of here. We got contingencies. You're crazy. America's the most powerful military on the planet. You think we can't take out a middling power like Iran? Well, guess what? I was right. And all of the naysayers that were hanging on to a hope and a dream, leaning into lethal doses of copium, were wrong. Shocking. Shocking. What Kami says, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. Turns out we are a paper tiger. So how did I get it right? And so many of these analysts got it wrong. Well, there's a couple reasons. Number one, I don't believe in American exceptionalism. I think it's silly. I think it's dangerous to lean into these sorts of ideals. I think sober analysis requires you to look at the situation and also look at the opposition, what they're saying, what they're doing, what their capabilities are, without this weird supremacist lens. This is how America used to operate, by the way. Even if they lied to the public overall, they wouldn't believe their own lies. Nowadays, it feels like when Maria Bartiromo is like, I can't believe it. What is going on? Why are we incapable of destroying the Iranian military like my beautiful president said? It sounds sincere, like she believed the bullshit. Maria, You're supposed to be the one peddling the bullshit. You're not supposed to believe the bullshit, you fucking idiot. Trilogy, thank you for the 20 tier 1 gifted subs. This is a huge problem. Even if you are pro-American empire, it's a huge problem. I have no problem saying this out loud because they're not going to fucking listen to me anyway. Part of it is because they don't listen to reason.